Hi, I'm Nate Caddy. You're listening to the Don Pod.
Welcome to the Don Pod, the supporters podcast. Here's your hosts, Sam and Nate.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
The Bombers go to Brisbane, comeback losers, but really comeback winners. Essendon 11 goals, 672, defeated by the Brisbane Lions 13-12, 90. In a game that just defied all expectations of even the most optimistic Essendon supporter. Welcome back to the Don Pod. I'm joined by Nathan. Good evening.
Good evening, Sam, and good evening, listeners. Sorry we're a bit late on this one. We both have lives.
Well, you particularly, because you were away.
I am away. Life, yes.
So you've got 5-hour car trip on you at this point in time, and I've got illness. So
yeah, but you were at the game too. We couldn't.
I was also at the game. We couldn't do that, but I was home Friday night.
True.
I wasn't there all. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So yeah, bear with us for this one. I think we'll try and be upbeat and positive, but I want to
We'll
die.
be upbeat and positive, won't we? Aren't you upbeat and positive?
Got man flu.
Oh, fair enough.
Just,
that does drag old Sammy down. He's a little bit of a softie when it comes to a bit.
Oh, don't use the S word. That's just cruel. That toxic masculinity coming to the fore again.
The toxic masculinity.
Toxic, whatever you used to call it. Anyway, really impressive night in Brisbane, to be completely honest with you. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. My mate was happy because he goes for Brisbane and ultimately they won. So it's just good.
Yeah.
Where to start? Caldwell had 30 touches, 30, 10 clearances, 8 tackles. And in the third quarter alone, he had 16 disposals, 3 tackles and a goal.
Yep.
Really, really returning to form after a couple of slower games to start with.
And I'm a bit crushed with, because I had a choice between him and Neil in fantasy. And I thought, no, don't pick another Essendon player, Nathan.
That's me in your head, isn't it, really?
Of course I got burned. Yep.
Nick Martin, 29 touches, 2 goals and 4 clearances. A lovely goal to start with. I thought that was going to be the only highlight I had all night. How wrong I was.
Hasn't he had some form the last few weeks?
Yeah, he's been great. Man's a midfielder. Who would have thought? And Zachy Boy Merritt, 28 touches, 562 metres gained, which is 0.562 of a kilometre.
Thanks.
It's very
Thanks,
precise.
Sam.
It's very precise. Right, Martin Caddy, our boy, kicks 2. Setterfield, Gresham, Goldstein, Durham, Caldwell kick 1 each.
Yep.
Breathe. So, quarter time, I was regretting my life choices.
Yeah.
That led me to the Gabba on a misty, rainy, we're undercover, but a misty, rainy night in Brisbane. It wasn't cold.
I nearly walked away. I was like, oh, God, this is going to get a flogging. I just, come on.
It had that air about it, didn't it?
I was, when they those first, 5 or 6, and I thought, oh, God, we've kicked 1. This could be, I'm doing the maths. This could be 100 points by, 3/4 time.
It was very doomsday. For anyone that's ever been to the Gabba to watch Essendon, I figure this is fairly consistent. It's happened twice in my 2 times. That end of the ground, I have no idea what end of the ground it is other than Gate 7 where that fancy bit is behind the goals where people
left to the TV?
Yeah, left to screen. A lot of Essendon people.
No, really?
A lot of Essendon. And it was really great. My mate went, can we sit over there next time? Because it's a Brisbane home game, but it feels like I'm still in Melbourne. And I love that because it gets everyone up and about together, particularly when we got on a bit of a run.
So what do you think we were doing in the first quarter that was so bad? What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's not just the first quarter. I think if you look at it from start to finish, we conceded 11 goals from turnover. So I messaged you, I reckon it was quarter time.
Yeah, it was.
And said to you, happy with the clearance work. Midfield's working really well. We're getting the ball. Happy with the defence of the ground. We were covering their rebound really well. They weren't able to move quickly. When they scored, though, we just kick it straight back to them in a dangerous position and they'd waft in and kick an empty goal square, easy goal.
I felt a little bit different than that. I felt like we were, there was turnover. I agree with that. But we were giving them the middle of the ground a lot. Like they could just turn to the centre of the ground and there were players everywhere. Like streaming through the defender, the lanky defender, can't think of his name for them, who kicked a goal, I think, at the end of that first quarter.
Oh, yeah.
And there was no, not Leicester, the other.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Go on.
He was all about, and they're all going, oh, God, they're just streaming down the back line. Like, out of the back line, they're just pouring out. And I was a bit worried. We looked, for me, I thought in that first quarter, we looked to move the ball slow. And that just didn't work. Yes, we turned the ball over 100%. Yet in the second quarter, things changed.
Well, yeah, I don't recall specifically the middle of the ground thing. That's fine. We talk about this whole watching it on TV versus watching it there.
Yeah.
I was quite happy with the way we defended the ground, at least on transition out of the D50. Possibly when we turned it over, they went back through the middle. Whatever. Second quarter, we just dug in a bit more. We were just a bit tougher in ourselves, a bit more head over it, crack in, pressure on. Once the ball hit the ground in our forward line in that second quarter, we actually looked dangerous for the first time in probably 3 years.
Yep.
And then the third quarter, wow.
Yeah.
Just went nuts. I said to my mate, I'm like, you don't understand how rare it is for us to look this dangerous going inside 50. Like, Caddy, I just want to gush over him. I don't know how much of it came across on telly. He worked as hard as I've ever seen a man work in a game of football.
Yep.
Harris Andrews for company the whole night. Had a bit of fun with Harris, which I do quite enjoy, that he can still have a bit of a fuck around with, like, who's a premiership winning captain 6 months ago.
Yeah, Caddy, look, on the telly too, you could see Caddy was taking marks in the back half.
Yeah.
And then he was taking marks in the front half, like he was.
But there was.
You could see he was a light. Like he felt, he was like, I'm on.
There were several times, though, when they just booted it on his head and he was able to still make a contest, get stoppages. Yep. He wasn't getting outmarked by two names, Harris. And then he plays on in that third quarter. I said to my mate, like, that's fine. Youthful exuberance. Yeah. I'll deal with it. Turns out on the tally, so did Brad Scott. Had a good old giggle.
Yeah, he had a giggle. Yep.
10 minutes later, kicks one of the goals of the year. And I go, that's why. That's why you live with it, because they'll just do shit like that. You go, fucking hell, that was unreal. The presence of mind just to boot it back over your head like that. As he was winding up, I was like, don't.
Well, do you think it was? I thought one of the things that came through for me was that it looked like with a smaller in that second and third quarters with the smaller forward line, because the structure we had and just Caddy in that we looked to move the ball quicker, and that really put pressure on them. Our smalls looked to be a bit more effective. Kako for me played up the ground a lot more and was really. I know his numbers don't look anything different to his normal games, but his influence up the ground. I'd be nearly considering him like in the midfield at little bursts at the moment, just to get that speed out of there, because he's
quick. Ball, he harasses
So I thought there were all that sort of, and the big factor too for the Caddy getting the ball was the clearance work of Caldwell. Like as you mentioned earlier, that third quarter, 10 clearances, 16 possessions, or whatever you said.
10 clearances across the game, not in the third. But yeah,
but in the third quarter, he had 16 or 11 possessions. Was it? What was
16, 3 tackles and a goal himself.
Yeah, he lit up that. He got us going, and Caddy finished it off. Like, he was the guy to get it to. And I thought the whole forward line looked alight. Like, even Day Wicks did a few things, I like Johnson's game. I thought he was fine. He looked a bit nervous at the start, but he got into the game.
I have to admit, I really struggled to pick Johnson from Day Wicks.
Yeah, I did too.
Really struggled. And because when you're at the footy, you kind of know the shapes of guys. Like, you don't necessarily need to see the face or a number. You can,
and it's the shoes too sometimes.
Yeah, well, yeah, old mate Blue Boots. That was Sam Durham all night because he hurt himself, and I was trying to describe who he was.
Yep.
So I can't really comment on them too. That was my point. But
well, see, the Durham injury made it. I thought helped us at stages because he had to stay deep, and I thought that sort of again made Brisbane play slightly different. They couldn't just.
What did you make of Gresham being booted from the goal square?
that was that moment where I hated Gresham. I saw everything.
I hated him all fucking night for what it's worth.
It was that moment when I looked at him and said, "No, mate, you shouldn't be playing footy." That attitude you just showed, where he sort of looked like, "No, I'm injured. I'm down here, mate."
Whereas,
and then 10 minutes later, he's sprinting around in circles. I'm going, "You're not injured. Like, you don't look." Yeah. Whatever the injury you're carrying is not clearly as bad as what poor old Does is carrying. Where
Durham
he can't walk properly.
He looked proppy all night. Yeah. And I'll tell you something. I put Sardis, even though I knew he was sub, in my starting 22 on Supercoach. because I'm like, we'll get an injury. I played the averages and thought, well,
Yeah.
and sure enough, he didn't go off in the end.
But then the miracle happened in that third quarter and early in the fourth, where we played really good football against the reigning premiers, who
At home.
are missing no one. Like, I'm sure if I really deeply thought about it, they might be missing somebody, but no one of pure note. And then at the 7.5-minute mark of the fourth quarter, we kicked in front of them.
Yep, we got in front by a point after being level in the third quarter.
Yeah.
That was it.
Peter Wright's point.
But
And how well did Peter Wright go too? Like, there were so many good games from players. Like, I know we'll do our votes later, but the guys like Wright played a great game. I thought, he got about the ground so well. Probably lesser notes were Durham, who played with that injury. Dersma was brilliant. I felt like he had to play an extra role because of the injuries.
He did the things that Dersma does for me. He just cracked in and kept running all friggin' day.
And Archie Roberts, I thought, even had one of his sort of better games. Like, he had to clearly play more of a midfield time.
That was one of those things where a different mate messaged me and said, "Oh, geez, what's his name? Who did you just say? Archie Roberts. Geez, he's really dragging us back into it." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not seeing that."
Yeah, that's interesting because second or third quarter, there were times when he was getting and carrying the ball so much, like Archie Roberts, just.
I think it was more that it was off the half back line, at the opposite end of the ground. So I wasn't right there to sort of pick up who it was.
But no, he carried the ball from that back half to the forward half a few times, and I thought, the commentators even made, and again, we'll go back to a lot of these guys that we're talking about played. Even Caldwell would be at 70 games.
Yeah, not many. I can do a little bit of research on that as well.
But you know what I mean?
We have a fucking spreadsheet, Nathan.
We never use it, Sam.
We have a spreadsheet for this.
But that was the exciting thing. I mean, and compared to that first quarter, where I was like, God, we're shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
The emotional roller coaster finished with them kicking the last few, and I was like, that's fine. I mean,
disappointing, but yeah, all right, you cop it.
Yeah, because you'd be like, imagine, there's no way they could let us win. Like, that would have been atrocious for them.
Yeah. Caldwell, 78 games at the start of the year, so plus 6 or so.
Yeah.
What really worries me, and I don't know if worry is the right word. It's saying a little bit to me, are we too tall?
No.
Ordinarily, if we had our...
normally. Oh, yeah.
Are we too tall? Because that's the best football I've seen us play this year.
Great point.
Certainly this year. We've had good games and we've won games of football and all that. But this is a little bit of vindication for us as a podcast too, because it's about how you play.
Yes.
Not always the result.
Is it we were too tall, or did we just finally click and say we have to take the game on? Because like in that second quarter when Brisbane kicked the 6 points or whatever it was.
Yeah, we were a bit fortunate in that.
That's right. But if you look at that first quarter for them and the second quarter by them, if we didn't do anything, then they would have just kept rolling on. Like, they didn't look worried for us. Only time they looked worried is when we just attacked.
We had to start going.
When we attacked, all of a sudden they were like, shit, pressure. And the little pressure gauge was up, and that little thing they do. I still don't understand how they do that.
Pressure gauge, magic formula.
Magic formula. And it was right, though, because we were just attacking. And scoreboard pressure was what it was. They couldn't kick. They can't kick. Brisbane kicked themselves out of games. Like, they
won the grand final by 10 goals still. Let's not forget that.
But they've lost a lot of games by kicking themselves out. Like, they just...
Look, 25 scoring shots to 17. Yeah. But from quarter time, we won the game of football. Like, you can't say we won the game of football, but from quarter time, we outscored them.
Yes.
So
that's exciting.
Huge, yeah. You're probably right in that it's, we had to take the game on. We had to do something because otherwise it was going to get ugly. But I also think possibly the opposition was a good one for us to play with that shorter team because really Hipwood, 200 whatever centimetres tall. Their next tallest was Logan Morris, who was only like 191. I Googled it because I thought he was huge. He is not. So it was a shorter forward line for those defenders to deal with. Jaden Laverde played a very Jaden Laverde-like game, was very good, gives it his all, just still pisses me off because he's got a shit attitude sometimes.
He gets really narky sometimes.
He gets angry. I'm like, bro, you gave away a free kick. You got it. Like, okay, move on. Yeah. It's okay. Like, fucking hell, bro. And the 50 he gave away in the first quarter, I don't know what he thought, whether it was touched or not 15,
Or not
whatever.
15 yet. But you got to play to the whistle. You
Play
can't
the
just,
whistle,
yeah, you can't just make up your own rules.
and then once the umpire's given 50, fuck off, mate. It's
Yeah.
done. Like, anyway, he played a good game of football. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
no, he was fine. He was quite good. He
Yes,
as
he
you
was.
said, cracked in and gave
And
a
he
lot.
led the defense. He was big and he was there.
Yep.
You knew he was there.
Yep.
Young Pidge had Charlie Cameron in his pocket again.
Yeah, he does all right against him.
That's
That's
all
not a
right,
bad matchup. I agree.
Kicked one goal in the first 5 minutes, and I thought I am going to hear Country Roads more than a few times this evening.
Yep.
Just
I
once.
had a cheeky little bet on him kicking 5, to be honest. The other one I want to mention, and I want to talk about this, and I'm really interested, and we've had this discussion. I'm sure we'll keep discussing this point. Sardis as the sub, I don't
Yep.
like it. I guess, look, I thought Hobbs played all right, who was the sub the week before.
Yeah.
So I get it. But to me, Sardis came on in that last quarter, sort of, very late, or not very late, but, in the last quarter. Sardis came on in that last quarter.
Yep.
And I reckon nearly every possession he had was effective and useful. And like he took kicks on, he took handballs on, like he was. And I was watching it going, why we're beating them at the moment, and this is the thing I found fascinating in the game, is the inside players. Our, Caldwell's clearly smashing Neil and Dunkley, and and I was just fascinated by. Well, see, I think Sardis came on and had influenced straight away in the midfield. So and I know we have this debate about his handball happy, but I saw him take kicks on and I saw him do things, and I still think he should be playing full time.
My worry isn't the handball happy thing. My worry is that he's one dimensional in that he's an in and under midfielder. That's my issue,
Yep.
not the handballing.
Yep,
I do, however, agree with what you're saying. He played 16% game time.
it's bugger all.
Bugger all. 6 disposals, a tackle, 2 clearances, and he had an impact. He is the first sub that we've seen in a few weeks come on and you go, yeah, all right, he was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. He actually had an impact.
He was fine. What I worry about for his sake more than anything else is the
I know
fact
where
that
this is
Darcy
going.
Parish has now played 2 VFL games.
Yep.
Caldwell's hitting his stride
Yep.
rather well. Setterfield, I have 0 complaints about once again.
Oh, Setterfield was a bit annoying, I found, in that game, but yeah, that's
The
fine.
goal, 23 touches, 7 tackles, and Neil, who usually fucking murders us, wasn't
Did bugger all.
murderous.
Yeah, you're right.
Martin's now getting through that midfield. Fuck me, even Goldie looked all right.
Yeah, Goldie looked all right against their ruckman.
Who was Darcy Ford, yeah.
Yeah, I don't overly rate their ruckman. Is the problem.
Well, no.
The problem I have with Darcy is, Goldfish, is whenever I watch him, and I think we've talked about this, is that he seems to watch the other ruckman a lot.
And not worry about them.
He seems to be like, what are they doing? What are they doing? I'll stick my arm up and tap it. And I said, I'm a bit more like, if you watch other ruckmen, they're like, no, I watch the ball and I hit it where I want to hit it, not worry too much about the other player. You occasionally look at them.
Do you know what really impressed me about Goldfish and Setterfield?
What?
Both had set shots at critical moments and kicked them.
Yes, good point.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Because your senior players, and Goldfish more senior than most,
More seen than all.
yeah, take your opportunity. Like I can sit there and forgive your caddies, cacos, all those guys, and go, all right, whatever. Can't forgive Gresham. Gresham fucked us over so many times.
God.
Cannot forgive that. You're
That
a senior,
play on.
yeah, you're a senior player, mate. I don't even know what he saw. I don't know what he did. He shit me to tears all night.
Yeah, he's the one I'm saying I just don't see the point in him. Like
Bring in David Jr. for Christ's sake.
bring in anyone. Just play Dave Wicks instead for the rest of the year. I don't care. Like that play on really pissed me off too. I was like, what was that? Like,
what have you seen?
You
What
didn't
was
make
there?
the distance. There was clearly a Brisbane player running back. What did you think the ball was going to travel
gonna
faster?
happen? Yeah.
You could have just stopped, taken some time, let the forwards get up there and set a play up. But no, I'll just roll around on my right and I've kicked it 42 metres instead of 55, which was required.
And I'll harp on it. He's played 165 odd games.
Yeah.
You are one of the most experienced players at that football club, and you're dishing up that shit. It must kill you as a teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah, for God's sake.
And that's what annoyed me about his little bitch with Durham, about when the runner came out and told him to get out of the goal square. I'm like, mate, you're the senior player. You should know.
Don't argue. Go.
I don't. For one, I don't need to be here. Studs, you can be in there. I'll be out further. I'll create some stuff for you. That should be what we brought him to the bloody club for. Not, I don't want to play up further up the ground. It's too hard. I'll stay here in the square.
And he looks good. Like, who was it we used to say looked good, but then was just terrible? Maybe it's McGrath. He does all that flashy stuff and then just turns it over. Maybe. Anyway, I don't want to slander McGrath in this.
No, he's been playing well.
He looks good. He gets the ball, he runs, and then just makes awful decisions.
He does.
Maybe it's just decision making. Maybe that's the flaw. It's not.
I think it's a big flaw on him. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to spend too long on negatives because it was such
there were
an
so many
impressive
positives,
game of football. Archie Perkins was the only other one I thought was a bit meh. I would love to know his Perkins. Did I say Perkins?
Yeah, you said Perkins,
Okay,
yes.
You're looking at me funny.
I was going to say, I don't think it was too bad. Yeah.
CBA's base compared to last week because
I can have a look at it. I thought there was a lot, to be honest.
last week I noticed it a lot. Thursday night I didn't. Again, being there, it's a bit different. Although I was there last week. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I felt like he did a lot of CBAs this week, probably even more than last week. Did you feel it was the other way around, or?
If he did, he didn't get the ball as much because I didn't notice him.
Oh, okay.
I also, where I sit at the MCG, it's a very different angle on the game of football compared to.
So Perkins, the data says, yes, he more than last week. So he did 43% CBAs, whereas 32 the week before and 19 the week before that.
Okay.
So he was the fourth big banana. And interestingly, looking at the CBAs, so it was Nick Martin was 68%, he was 32% the week before, 4% the week before that, and zeros every other week. So in the last,
we're realising he's a midfielder.
yeah.
Yep.
And you would argue he's played his two best games in the last 2 weeks.
Got best on last week. Yep.
Yep. And was pretty close to it on the weekend too. Like he had a very good game. And then the other big banana was Setterfield and Caldwell. So, and whereas Merritt's the one that's been pushed out, and I don't mind Merritt being pushed out. I reckon he's more useful around the ground as a halfback, or just outside the contest, kicking.
Yeah. Can I ask you what Sardis had in just not percentage but total? Can you say that?
Just if Sardis went, Sardis had it only shows a percentage on this one. I'm looking at it's 11%, but that's fair
Given
few.
he played
would have
16% game time. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's come in for every CBA, probably you would assume in that last quarter.
And 2 clearances. I think he needs to play a full game, to be honest. I, at this point, wouldn't be opposed to Perkins as a sub. Give that a roll. See if he can come on in the forward line and just influence.
Yep.
I don't know.
I still think that some guys like Day Wicks probably could make also, Day Wicks, Perkins, they're probably the ones I would look at. Johnson went off, didn't he, in this one?
He got subbed out, yeah.
Yeah.
Very late.
I thought it was
quarter, I reckon.
A couple of things I have issues with Scott. And one of them is when we pulled the sub. I don't see what the point is late in like halfway through a fourth quarter. Like, what's going to happen?
Though, shit was working. I follow you and I support you, but more so when we're not going well.
Yeah, well, he could have pulled in the first quarter.
Because you're looking, I mean, I thought Durham was done. He looked really bad.
I was surprised he came back after halftime. I was thinking that, well, there's the perfect. You swap him for Sardis. You've got not the same player, but you've got a clearance inside.
You've got a midfielder at least. Yeah.
But he was very good. And this is my argument with Durham, is I love him as a forward. I still think he's...
I know you do.
He's still, to me, I would push him out of that midfield and give him a forward role.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And I was comfortable with him playing at full forward. Kicked that goal where he was just out the back. And I
landed in his chest.
I joked with Reece, who's my friend. I'll start using his name.
Yeah.
I joked with Reece. I'm like, you don't understand again. Like, normally we have 17 blokes go up. There's no one down. And I'm sure it was just because he probably couldn't jump.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I don't know if it was great skill or seeing the game, but
here's the ball.
Boys, record that and play it. You stayed down and you managed a nice little cheap goal out the back. Come on.
Yeah. So, look, all in all, I guess on that, I would have thought Durham might be a bit of an iffy for next week.
I'm happy for us to take it a bit cautious.
And I would have thought Gresham might be an iffy for next week too, with the way his life was near death. He wouldn't leave the goal square.
He'll play. If he's fit, he'll play. You know he's not going to get dropped on form.
No, I reckon more of an injury.
Well, how bad was it if he played out the game? He was still doing plenty in the last quarter.
And I agree. He was running around perfectly in that last quarter, yet he would not leave the goal square. Anyway, I'm pretty frustrated by him.
Can we, or do you want to have an opinion on Caddy? Because I shared mine and I love the
I,
man so much.
I agree 100%. I love the way he goes about it and throws himself at the ball and then backs it up with a pretty good skill set too. There was a moment on high half forward down the right hand side of the screen. He got what's his name under the ball, two names under the ball, and then turned around very Jeremy Cameron style and ran back and ran away from him. And the commentators made a little comment about, "Ooh,
Ooh.
that was very nice." And I bombed it long. I think we got a score. I can't remember anyway. But I thought that's we've talked about this. Is that what we've seen him as, this guy that can get up high like a Jeremy Cameron, turn players around and then use that athleticism to get back. But he can also go deep and be a bit of a threat, taking contested marks. So
And
he's
he took marks in the back line too. Like
yeah,
he was used as a bit of a,
yep,
Langford usually sort of does that, goes
yep.
back late.
And I love that role for him too. If
Yeah.
that's the sort of thing, go
Well,
back with 5 minutes to go and defend.
He's with Cameron. He's so unique, and he's not that tall,
No,
but
but
the
he plays tall.
wingspan is just astronomical. His arms like hang by his knees. It's ridiculous.
That seems ridiculous.
God,
You must walk like an idiot if that's true.
I was a slight exaggeration, but you know what I mean. Like,
No, he does have long arms.
if he runs too fast, he might take off.
If it flaps a little. Yeah, no, so he was really excited. Again, look, what we take out of these games as opposed to, it's funny because we look back 2 or 3 weeks and we're a bit disappointed with playing West Coast and Richmond and we're meant to be this young team. But what I still think it was, and it comes down to how we play. And I think that the young kids look much more energetic, much more excited, and much more enthusiastic when we play aggressive, quick footy and play one-on-one sort of footy with the kids and say, take a player on. Whereas when we play this set, stop, chipping around, slow shit, I think the kids just don't look as excited. I've got to run to this spot and stand, put my arms up.
Yeah, and my natural reaction to that is it's a little bit maybe lazy, but it's not. It's like, why would I want to burn all my petrol tickets doing that when we can play, one, a better brand of football, two, that requires a little bit less effort to play,
but it's just so
and
much more
three, we
exciting.
play better fucking football when we do it.
Yeah. Anyway, look, it was good footy. I'm really excited about the next few weeks. I hope we can bring that style. You talk about good clubs can do that no matter who's playing, like that style of football.
Yeah. By definition, what makes a good club is you can
We'll
do
probably
it
get
against
flogged by
everyone.
Carlton now this week.
Well, I was just thinking that, and is there anything else to talk about really apart from
no,
next week? I haven't done stats, but there's nothing in there that really. We were +6 on clearances, which I was impressed because that's a premiership winning midfield. Like, it's very good.
But that's we saw that. We saw that all night. Like we beat them in the clearances.
Neil, Dunkley,
The
Ashcroft
brothers.
both.
Yep.
I mean, one's a first year player.
One was
one's
subbed out.
Norm Smith. Yeah, Levi, my friggin' draft team.
Oh, there you go.
But like McCluggage was brilliant.
No, McCluggage really was their player that we couldn't get a handle on, but that was fine. We had no one.
Usually it's Neil. So it's nice to get not beaten by something we know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Actually, we normally do.
We normally do. Very happy. Now I'll fess up. I did do the post. I had to wait a few hours at the old airport for my friend, and
we'll sit time to do some stuff.
I'll do the match day post. Look at that. Look at me go. And then I forgot to check anything until this morning or this afternoon. So I have messaged young Corey Williams, who said Brisbane by 23 or something. And honestly, I have no idea who posted what when. So
that'll do.
I've just gone with it. So Corey has responded to me in 10 minutes.
Well done, Corey.
Beauty. 3 Caldwell, 2 Merritt, 1 Caddy.
3 Caldwell, 2 Merritt, 1 Caddy. Yeah, that's good. I have no problem with that. I'll do mine quickly.
Yeah, you go for it, big fella.
I had Caldwell 3, Martin 2, and Caddy 1.
Very good. I
got a little drunk on love here.
I thought with the wrong head and have given 3 to Caddy, 2 to Caldwell, 1 to Martin. I will say, and I'm going to harp on it a little bit, that being there is different to on the telly. And I remember watching Nick Riewoldt run Cale Hooker ragged years and years and years ago. that was up there with
Yeah.
that. It really stood out to me that he just run and run and run and run and really play on such a good opponent.
Mm.
I loved it, and
Yeah, no,
maybe I'm biased.
no.
Whatever.
I don't think it's. I loved, and this goes back to what I saw, and what we see as supporters. I loved how Caldwell dominated that clearance against what you've talked about as dual Brownlow, like Brownlow medalists, all Australians, and he just went to work there. I think there's also respect for Caddy against an All Australian fullback too for doing what he did. But I was really happy with Caldwell again. Just the two kids we're talking about, 70 odd games and 15 games. Yeah, so 20. So
This is what I love, is that we can have different opinions and
yeah.
still be like, Caldwell probably stiff, I'll be honest, but I love the big
Well,
forward.
Sam is
That
after watching
is,
Caddy.
yes. Don't mention that next time we go to an event.
We meet him in person.
Bing.
You may have got Sam erect. Do you know?
That game against Brisbane, mate. Oh, that goal was just iconic. Even Kane Corns loves him now, which
You should. But that goal is one of the things why we're going to love him for the next 15 years playing for us, because he will do things like that.
Yep. Got some love from Zorko after the game too in an interview. If anyone caught that,
No,
some real high words of praise. Again, bit of a flog, but a very successful flog. Now, the next day, we went out to, I'm going to say, Western Brisbane.
Yeah.
And it's quite far away from the city. Otherwise, I might have gone.
Well, it was a fair way out of the city. Yes, I had a little look on a map, actually, just to see where it was. I thought, that's a long way away.
Our flight was at 4 o'clock too, so it was getting a bit squeaky bum time if we got held up. So we led most of the day, but fell 18-11, 119 to 15-9, 99. There's a handful of things to talk about. Some of it's secondhand.
Yep. Okay.
So bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
We do play Carlton next week, King's birthday eve, Sunday night. Otherwise, it's known. Who have Mackay and Kernay. So it's a very different proposition, even though maybe not as good a team as Brisbane. It's a very different dynamic when you've got Kerno, who's a bit like Caddy. He's not quite that tall, but he's got long arms and he
moves well. And he gets up the ground. And he's
10
athletic.
years on Caddy.
And he's got a fair bit more muscle.
And two more Colemans and all sorts.
He's better.
Yeah, he's better. He's better. It's fine. I can say that.
Who would have thought it? There's a better player out there than Caddy.
Not many in my eyes. And then you got big old Harry Mackay, not against his brother.
No.
Who's 2 meters tall and can influence the game himself. So I did see there was a comment on Jeren playing defence.
No. What? No. Really?
That happened, apparently, yes. So don't be surprised if that's a swap just to get another tall dude in defence. I think it's needed. I think we've got to pull someone from somewhere.
Well, do you want to hear my theory?
Go, please.
We drafted a kid, I think his name was McMahon,
yes.
McMahon from Carlton.
Yes.
Who played as a forward the last few years, but in his junior, he was a pretty good defender. He's 198, I want to say.
Well, he kicked 2 goals too. So don't know about you. He had six kicks and 4 of them were scores.
Well, I think he could come in too, was my theory, that he could play. Now, I agree, probably not as a defender, but I thought they might have used him as a defender because the other kid we drafted, the first one, May, was it? No.
Archer May, yep.
Yeah.
Another Archer.
Archer. And I think he doesn't like Archer, he likes Archie or something like that.
I don't know. He's son-in-law of Dermot Brereton or something like that.
Stepson,
okay. Whatever you like, yep.
Well, yeah, he's dating Dermy's, this kid's mum. They're not.
Yep. All right.
Well, here was my vision. I want Essendon to pick him to play.
So that Dermy
has to stand in the Essendon rooms with a Essendon scarf on.
I do.
You can just imagine Dermy go, you probably wear a Hawthorn scarf.
And you know what? I don't mind that he so openly hates us.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
At least he's open about it.
Yeah.
And we can fuck with him back in the other direction.
But I do... going back to our conversation about the small... I mean, I think Durham would be a struggle town to play, like the way unless he pulled up pretty well, but you would think that... I haven't read anything about it. Have you read how he pulled up?
No, I haven't seen anything. I think I was surprised that we didn't bring one of those guys in for Thursday night, whether it was logistics, because, I mean, May's from Perth, so maybe that was a barrier. We had permission from the AFL, apparently, to do that if we needed to, but we literally went 3 talls out for 3 smalls in, and that was it.
And it worked, and we played our best footy. I also did like the ruckman we picked up too. What was his name?
The second one,
Smith or something. Blah.
It was a bit of a different name.
He had a ponytail. Looked like a Geelong player. Like he had tall blonde
Well, I mean,
hair
they're
and
pretty
ponytail.
good.
Yeah, he just, you know.
We need to be taller this game. Like, I think that's probably the key thing here is that we're
Well,
playing
this
a
is
much
what-
taller team.
Especially what's his name?
TDK, DeConing.
DeConing.
Well, guts at the back.
Waitering.
Waitering, thank you.
Yeah.
But it's the
And
two
if they
talls
play
that
the
worry
two
me.
ruckmen too, they can
most.
trouble us.
It's the Kerno and the Mackay.
In the VFL too, can we quickly mention that
we should probably
Vigo
go
had
back to that.
58 hitouts.
Did he?
58 hitouts and 129 fantasy points because, you know, you get
Hitouts.
1 point for a hitout, so you've already done half your work. Parrish had 21 disposals and Shield had 32. I don't think Shield gets a game again. Parrish, you would think after if he's played 2 games, got through and is all right, he'd have to come back in.
Yeah. Lachlan Blackiston was the
that's it.
ruckman. Very
And he
Geelong.
said-
You're quite right.
He sounds all right actually. He's like been around the ground. He's been around the traps for a while. He's a award-winning sort of VFL level ruckman. He's kind of what we need. 26 is perfect.
Your age, yeah.
So you would hope that he stays on the list even next year, because I would have thought Goldie then goes into the coaching role properly next year, and this guy becomes our senior.
See what we get out of him
backup ruckman
first, of course. But yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, how'd you be? There's a really good luck story or a good fortune story there for a 26-year-old to finally come in and get his go.
He'll definitely play this year.
I think we'll see May before we see him, and I still think at some point Vigo would. I guess like to see him.
They might protect Vigo because he's still only 19. Yeah. But he's only 19. Like, that is pretty young for a ruckman. Whereas if you've drafted in the 26-year-old, this would be his job now to come in and just play some games.
Yeah. So let's just quickly go through the VFL because I totally got off track then. That's my fault. I apologise. Right. McMahon kicked 2, Unwin kicked 2, Davey Jr. 1-1, 7 tackles for Davey Jr. At Gresham. Lual kicks a goal, 13 touches. Menzie a goal and 17 touches. Smart, who we also picked up, 10 touches and a point. Yep. He's been quite electric the last few weeks before that. Vigo, as you said, 17 disposals, 5 tackles and 58 hitouts.
That's and 5 clearances.
Yeah, I couldn't see that number, so thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's good. Good info. Das had 20 touches, 6 tackles. Yep. And the exciting one, Al Achka, who is not on our list yet, but will be.
Yes.
Played a half of football.
Yep.
Played the second half and kicked 3 goals.
Wow.
And I mean this in like all respects, he's fit and obviously thinner than me. Fat. Like, he's got thick hips. He's a big boy. He's a strong boy.
He's a good size.
Good size. Good size.
I've seen a bit of footage of him too, and I was like, he's like, one of the things I felt like we were doing a lot drafting wise, we were drafting skinny little, that looked like they were still years away from playing actually footy. Whereas the last year, like, Kako's been a good size since he got to the club. And this kid, him and the other one too, that meant to be NGA prospects, they both look like a good unit. Like, they got a bit of size about them, they've got some thick through the hips, big thighs, good football, size for players. So very exciting, I think.
Yeah.
So that he got through the game too and played well.
3 goals in a half. So, awesome. Maths says he would have kicked 6.
6. That's our maths. It's Essendon maths for you.
Just tell me I'm wrong.
You're not. You're right.
So, yes, we won't know full teams until Friday night, rather.
Yeah. Yep.
We assume there'll be changes. We have to go taller, right? Like, we can't not go taller.
I agree 100%.
At least one tall.
I wonder if you bring in a tall forward and then you've got, Caddy can
defender though.
Well, we didn't draft. This is what I found fascinating. We didn't draft. None of them were defenders.
Well, are you not reading into the fact we played Jaron in defence in the VFL?
Well, that's a big call.
Is there not a little bit of you?
Well, yes, but he's played 1 game in defence. Why didn't we just get a VFL kid who's played, I don't know, a couple of seasons in defence?
Is it a bad way to get Jaron some exposure, and I can't find
No,
him on our
I
list.
just feel really sorry for the kid that he's played one game in the VFL in defence. Now he's going to have to possibly go play on Harry Mackay.
He's 2 meters tall, so his height's a big tick.
Yes, he might be tall, but that doesn't lend you to
Look,
knowing how to play the game.
I know, and I also would say that it probably helps Laverde out to have a bigger body next to him, just to be there. Just his literal rocking up and being 200 centimeters is probably a help
Yes.
to Lav. Lav's got to play on Curnow.
No, oh,
Well,
I
he's given
thought,
away like 8 centimeters to Mackay.
but he can't go with the speed of Kerner. Who's
Well, we can't go with the height of Mackay. What do you like? I'm more worried about Curnow. I think Curnow's a better player.
Yeah, there's no doubts that I don't disagree with Kerner. And he seems to be in pretty good form. Like Mackay's been playing a bit more of that second rucking role, where he's been racking up his stats. I don't know who the bloody hell. Like,
We should have beaten them last year. We were all over them. We just couldn't kick straight. I reckon we kicked like 15 behinds when we played them last year.
does Jackson Pryor just get forced to play on one of them?
Oh, I hope not. Jackson's like 188, isn't he?
Yes, but he just like I'm sorry, but he did. He seemed to go all right on the weekend.
I was happy with Jackson again, yeah.
Yeah, he was jacks on, not jacking off.
We don't call it jacking off, it's jacks off.
Oh, just jacks off. Jacks on. Sorry.
We kicked 9 goals, 16 against them last year to their 15-6.
No, what?
Yeah. When we played them last year, that King's birthday game, we were 9 goals, 16 to their 15-6, and we really should have won. I remember walking away from that. Interestingly, though, Elijah Hollands kicked 3, Zach Williams 2, Curnow 2.
Yes, it wasn't even the big boys.
Owies 1 and Mackay 1, Mitch McGovern 1. So they got 4 goals from their tools.
Yeah, and all that came from Smalls. We were having trouble with Smalls at that time too, as I recall. Smalls were killing us.
You're quite right.
I think Smalls, we're actually doing all right against Smalls at the moment.
Well, Pidge is a good defender.
Pidge has been playing good defence, yeah.
Yeah, cringe when he gets the ball.
I still think it'd probably you give Jackson Pryor the first shot at one of them. He's 189. Like, he has to play on one of them.
God almighty.
Well, I don't have a problem with what you're saying about what's his name, but
It's an impossible situation. I think that's the other thing to think about is that we're going to be undermanned regardless of what we do. It's just trying to make the best of a situation.
Yeah. Yep.
Who comes in for Durham if he's out?
Oh, well, that's Parrish.
Easier question. Yep, fair enough. That was low-hanging fruit. What about Gresh if he goes out?
Oh, well, I think it's Davey, but you probably just switch the subs then too, and maybe
Bring Sardis in and have a Davey sub.
yeah.
I'd love to see Davey get a full game, a crack at it, like a proper crack at it, not just coming in as a token sub.
I would too. I'd like to see Sardis in the team for full time against Carlton midfield because again, and the other problems we're going to have to win those clearances again against Carlton with Cripps and Walsh and Chera and those sort of guys against Carlton. They're not. That's been their real strength. Like from the history, their last few weeks, they're winning clearances, but they're just shit ass at going forward a bit like we can be.
So, would you rather? We'll give you the option. You're starting a football club, and you can either have Neil and Dunkley, or you can have Cripps and Walsh.
Neil and Dunkley.
Okay, interesting.
Cripps is very good, but Walsh is very good, but he's been pushed out of that midfield at the moment. He's playing on a wing, so that's kind of telling. Hey, there's talk. Yeah, there is talk of him leaving. Like, I don't think he would. He'd be too much for Carlton boy, but he's not playing midfield time. He's playing on a wing.
I tend to agree. I think the success for Dunkley won a premiership with the Bulldogs as well.
Yeah. So he's won a premiership. So he's,
2 premiership. Neil's got 2 Brownlow. I'm just saying. I think in terms of a matchup, I think Cripps particularly is a more difficult one for us.
Cripps and Dunkley are similar type players. Just Cripps is bigger
and bits stronger.
But Dunkley's pretty big and pretty strong himself. Like he's just Cripps is a freakish version of that. There's not going to be another Cripps.
Is Setterfield the matchup then for Cripps? Can you get away with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably sure he'd like playing against his old team too.
Oh, yeah. Old. No, he came via Carlton. Never mind.
Yeah, but yeah. All right, let's wrap this up.
Give us a tip, please.
Well, I think we will. It's at the MCG.
It is at the MCG, yes.
Yep. So I think we'll go right. I'll give us by 6 points.
6, you've halved your usual. Oh, dear.
They only go in sixes and dozens and half dozens.
Yeah. I am stupidly buoyant as well, and it's going to come crashing down.
Oh, yeah.
I realise.
Well, let's roll that train. Let's just flow.
I'd love to do them. Just the fact that we're above
Bet
them
you
and we're
would.
having such a terrible run is quite hilarious. And we're 2 games clear now with a game in hand, although I do think we lose that game in hand.
Yep.
Dons by 2. Caddy after the siren.
Jesus Christ. One by two, Caddy. You're an idiot. Caddy.
Love my Cads. I'm a caddy aficionado.
Can you believe that we are 10th? Like, we are in front of Carlton, Sydney, Port. Like,
Well, I can believe we're in front of Sydney right now. They were god awful yesterday. Port have been
I don't think
equally-
we'll finish in this position, but I just can't believe how bad some of the clubs have been below us.
Agreed.
Mm.
Sydney particularly.
Oh, atrocious.
But anyway, anything else to add other than Caddy is a god and we bow down in his presence? Is that it?
No, just that. Yeah, let's just stick with Caddy's a
Stick with
god
that.
and we bow down in his presence.
Don't forget to cut out my sneezes from earlier when I mute the wrong person.
Yep, yep.
Oh,
Do you get well, big fella?
Yeah,
Have
thanks.
a bit of a rest?
Big fella, you too. I mean,
Yep, I'm fine.
get
I'm
well
just
in the
tired.
sense
I've
of-
just driven over the mountains.
5 hours. Yep.
Well, snow. We saw some snow up at Hotham.
Nice.
Just a little bit on the side.
Very nice. Bit on the side. Yep. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Go Dons.
Go Bombers.